Sohail, how are we?
I'm good, Danny. Yourself?
Good. Thanks for coming on, my friend.
You're welcome.
So, along with your son Harris, you
Yeah.
own Caledonian Watches, which is a luxury watch reseller. We're going to talk all about that.
Yeah.
But it's always good to find out about someone's background, and your background is interesting. So I know some
Thanks
of
very much.
I know some of the stories about that. So take us back. Where did it start?
My career. I mean, basically...
Not from primary school, just interesting bits.
My background is pretty much kind of semi-professional tennis. I played tennis since the age of probably 11, 12, competed all around Scotland and got my first kind of coaching job with David Lloyd Leisure, which opened up in Renfrew.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the first kind of commercial club of that sort that opened up. Fantastic job, best days of my life. Moved out to Manchester with them as a tennis director. And met all sorts of people, all different backgrounds. Roll on probably 14, 15 years.
Did you ever think about going pro? Was that an option?
Wasn't good enough.
No, not as simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that. It wasn't very competitive. I coached a very good friend of mine who got to 250 in the world, a guy called Ross Matheson. So kind of was a player hitting coach with him for a while when he could tail end of his career. But it's very difficult, extremely difficult. Even in those days, very, very few funding. Money was not great at all.
So when did you realise that? How young were you when you realised that?
Probably about 19.
Right,
I mean, it was a dream.
Uh-huh.
Probably still is a dream, but it's very difficult. Like any sport, you need to be the cream of the crop and a bit of luck.
Yeah.
So but the coaching side was good. I'd made a good living out of it. Met lots of interesting people all around the world. Made lots of friends, and then came to a bit of an end when we called Virgin the Sport opened up in Hamilton, and then my other background, I've got a university degree. Mm-hmm. I also have a postgraduate diploma, which is another interesting thing about it, which is in applied entomology. I don't know. Do you know what that is?
No idea. No.
So applied entomology is study of insects and parasitology, so parasitic diseases. So I have a semi kind of medical background, and then went into the pharmaceutical industry, working for Pfizer, then Takeda. Worked as a regional account director at the end, and also a key account manager for 18 years in the pharmaceutical industry. No. Again, fantastic. Travelled the world with them and met a lot of interesting people, a lot of professional people, and very good life. And then kind of fell into the watch game really. Yeah. I've always had a passion for watches since a boy, because my father had watches, had a bit of a collection, and then he just loved watches. And then COVID hit. There was a change of career. Met a few interesting people just through friends, were recommended to me through my accountant. Actually, unfortunately, my accountant passed away, a very good friend of mine, about a month ago, unexpectedly. And he was actually the one that introduced me to a guy who was based in Northern Ireland, in Ayr. And that's how kind of I fell into the watch game. And that's it really. I mean, it grew from there.
So it started off more as an interest?
Well, it was always an interest, but it was then to take it seriously. It was like, okay, COVID's hit, pharmaceutical industry was still doing okay, it was difficult, but I wanted to work for myself.
COVID was great for the big pharma, was it not?
Not really.
No?
You'll be surprised, because obviously the drugs we were selling at the time were more kind of mainstream, what we call primary care. But access is really difficult, because guys like me were used to being out on the road. All of a sudden you're stuck in a house.
You're trying to phone somebody.
Nobody wants to speak to you, which is kind of normal. So at that stage I thought, right, good opportunity. The watch game during COVID was booming. I mean off the scale. Market was flying, and I managed to meet some interesting people who got me into the game.
Why do you think that was during COVID? Why do you think people were buying watches when they were locked in their house?
Well, it's funny, I was thinking about that this morning. I think, obviously, you've hit on working on their house. People were spending a lot of money on their house, but they were spending a lot of money on other things as well, not just watches. So luxury items were cars, for example, had gone through the roof. I mean, you drive a nice car.
Thank you.
And those kind of cars were going way over their value. Other luxury goods, like, if you look at luxury handbags, shoes, clothing, all through the roof.
I guess people, because they were locked in their house, they had nothing to do with their money.
No,
they weren't going holiday, they weren't day trips and out in restaurants. It's amazing what money you save when you're locked in your house.
Well, a lot of people had what's in inverted commas disposable income,
and for the first time.
They think, well, what do we do with this? And I know people spent money on their houses and the value of being outside, but for watches just happened to be. I think there's a couple of things. Watches were deemed as an investment, and they still are, but also because the market was very supply and demand, so it was almost deemed as a high ticket item, and people were looking to invest in those.
Cool. So before we go deep into the watches, you skirted by the tennis bit, but I know for a fact you've got some more interesting pieces that you've not touched on. So you've coached a few famous folk through the time as well. So talk us through that.
Yeah, when we coached, I knew Andy Murray. I know the Murray family very well. Andy was maybe, I think it was about 8 or 9 at the time, up and coming junior. I know Judy very well at the time. She was national coach. Was
he stand out at that age?
Incredible.
Right,
yeah,
even at 8 or 9.
Just to clarify, it wasn't individual coaching. It was a part of a very, very illustrious big squad that we had at David Lloyd, and out of that squad probably came about 5 or 6 professional players, which was very unusual for Scotland at the time. So, in fact, I would go as far as say Jamie, who's the older brother. I think Jamie was actually more talented, and he was the one that could stand out a bit more. But Andy had a real kind of tenacity. This kind of real fight, never give up attitude.
Obsession beats talent every time, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's just hard working. Yeah, really, both of them are hard working, but he just had something a bit different about him. And I'll not mention his name, but my boss at the time, we were watching them during a squad. One time he turned around to me and he went, these two will never make it.
There we go.
And I'll not mention his name. Look where we are now. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great story. And I've coached a few other kind of, Adam Faith. Do you remember Adam Faith? No? Was he famous? No. Budgie. No. He was in Broadway and in all of the London shows.
It's not my genre, that. So he might well be famous.
Adam Faith was very famous. Coached him. Cliff Richard was around at the time. He used to come up sporadically, but my boss could have dealt more with him as well. A few footballers. Coached Henrik Larsson's wife, and also Gianni van Bronckhorst. Reggie Blinker. You're a Celtic man.
Yeah.
You know the Reggie Blinker. So yeah, I've met a lot of interesting, famous people through tennis.
Yeah.
And it's been good.
I know it's an interesting life you've led. So, in terms of luxury watches, it's such a broad term, isn't it? So, luxury all depends on your own budget.
Yeah.
Somebody could think £100 watch is luxury, or if you're a multi-millionaire, a luxury watch could be tens of millions of pounds, I guess, for a real thing. But what's your definition of luxury watches?
I think it's a really broad question because you can start off, as you've mentioned, I think, £500 up to millions of dollars luxury watch. I think it's got to be, for me, it's a lot to do with the brand and also the craftsmanship and the experience that goes behind the luxury watch. A lot of it's kind of clever marketing as well, to a certain extent. If you look at, let's take Rolex, for example, they use a lot of precious metals. A lot of history and legacy goes into that brand, as do maybe with Tag Heuer as well. But they're two different watches, two different areas of expertise, lots of different materials being used, and it all depends on what is luxury to you.
But you don't carry tags, do you?
No.
So why is that?
I think, to be blatantly honest, is the margins, and there's no margins in tags.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
are they a bit more mass-produced tags?
Well, yeah. So an interesting factor you've touched on that. I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, but per year, Rolex will only produce X number of watches globally. If you go into the higher brands like Patek Philippe, AP, that number gets less. Okay, and then you've got Jacob and Co and other brands. So it's supply and demand, and anyone can walk into a shop just now and buy a tag. Whereas it's very difficult to walk into a dealership and buy a Rolex or a Patek. You won't get one unless you've got contacts. So I think there's that supply and demand.
So sitting here today, I can't go to the Rolex shop that's in Glasgow or one of the jewellers that carry that and just pick up a Rolex.
No, I would be surprised if you can, unless you've got buying history. So I didn't know that. Yeah, so right. you need potentially you need buying history, even if you've got no buying history, they'll put you on what they deem as a waiting list, and as soon as you walk out the door, that will get probably thrown in the bin. I know that's a bit cynical, but you need contacts, and even at that, they will make you buy lots of things that you don't really want to buy to then
got this.
Mm-hmm. And even at that stage, you might not get what you've actually looking for. So my philosophy there is, if you spent all this money, why not just come to a grey market dealer or somebody who's in the secondary market? So it's crazy. It's all a game at the end of the day.
So you've sort of answered the question, but one of the questions I was going to ask, why would someone come to you as opposed to going to a high street jeweler or straight to the dealer? But I guess they can't get them.
No. So one of the kind of beauties that I've got is I've got a very, very wide network of other jewelers and traders, not just in the UK but globally, and based in the Middle East, even as far as Hong Kong. So we can get any watch. Any watch is accessible if you're willing to pay the money. So
do you have customers who actually say, I want this particular watch this year, this bracelet?
Yeah.
I take it that's a collector, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. It was a very specific, I can't remember the model number, it was an AP, which we had a few years ago, and that AP was a very specific limited edition watch with a salmon pink dial. I remember it, beautiful. But that watch was sourced from Hong Kong because there's so few of them around. The client knew exactly what he wanted and what he wanted to pay, and we managed to find him that watch. So people will come to me and say, we want this kind of watch, these are the specifications, and this is what we want to pay. And 9 times out of 10 we can find it for them.
So what you said, you mentioned there the grey market, the secondary market.
Yeah.
What is that to someone who knows nothing about that end of the market? What is it?
So the grey market is a bit like, if you compare it to in layman's terms, a bit like a second-hand car trader, if you like. So grey market is guys like me. I mean, a lot of these companies, there's a lot of huge companies out there, very reputable, who are, based in London. They're all in the UK or abroad. These guys are still secondary market dealers because they're not what's deemed as an authorised Rolex or Patek dealer or Richard Mille. So yeah, they basically deal in watches which have already been bought and then sold into the grey market. And that might be new watches, which happens a lot. Morally, whether you agree with that, unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast. Or it might be someone who is in financial difficulty, for example. They've had the watches for a while. They've used them as an investment and they want to sell them and get out. Or
is that the best kind of customer? Somebody who needs to get out?
You've got them in a bit of a corner, yeah. And they want out the watch. But listen, we're always fair at the end of the day. We'll always offer. I think that's one thing for me. I'm always trying to be fair and transparent. I'm not trying to do one quick deal with clients. It's a long-term relationship at the end of the day, and I think that's really important.
So how do you value something then? So you say a Rolex Sprite watch, sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
How can you value that? Is it the same as a used car salesman who would say, well, a 3-year-old BMW, I'll go to the glasses guide and it's got that many miles on it, and that's the price to it.
It's not quite a glasses guide, but we've got. Basically, I can go into the secondary market, and from there will be other dealers who are selling similar watches, not just here and even abroad. That is the market value of the watch, and that then gives me a gauge of what the value of the watch is. Yeah. People seem to think that, when secondary grade market dealers like me, that they'll try and what they deem as lowballing a client, that we're trying to pull the wool over their eyes. We're not. I mean, they'll go onto sites like Chrono24 and they say, well, this watch is worth X, Y, and Z. But it's a bit false to a certain extent, because that's not trade, that's retail. And with Chrono24, there's fees involved, etc. So I think people need to be a bit realistic of why they've been given that price, and there's a reason for it. It's the market value.
And you're there to make money as well.
People forget that sometimes. We are VAT registered, tax registered, etc. So that all comes into the equation. But I'm always fair. But that's how we kind of gauge what the market value is.
About what's it? And I take it the rarer the watch, the harder it is to value.
It's supply and demand. So if And it's weird, the watch market at times. You know, let's take your Sprite, for example. What tends to happen with watches like the Sprite, when they are first introduced into the market, they're very, very high. The price is very, very high. So a Sprite might be around £8,000-9,000 out the authorised dealer, but I think historically they were going for like north of £20,000 when it first launched, but they've gradually come down. Why? Because there's more in the marketplace. It's supply and demand. It's as simple. It's not rocket science. And at the moment, the market seems to be kind of flattening out a little bit.
So I guess all the people who buy watches as an investment, are they an investment for the layman?
It depends how long you hold the watch on for. So if you plan to buy a watch now and you think I'll sell it next month as an investment, that's not going to work, because the price you've been sold the watch at, you have to consider the fact that the trader or the company that sold you the watch, they've put their margins in there. Okay, so they need to make money. So long term, it could be an investment, but a lot of it's out with your hands, because it all depends on what the market's doing at the time. It's a bit like, the analogy I could almost look at is like stocks and shares a little bit. You're buying an investment piece, but you don't at a price, but you don't know how the market's going to react in a year's time, 2 years' time. What ordinarily does help if watches get discontinued. So they stop producing that particular watch, and that will bring the price up of the watch.
Or there's something odd with it, like there's a mistake in it or something.
Yeah, I don't think mistakes kind of happen, but mistakes won't happen. There was one, I think it was the Rolex Daytona.
It's got an extra space in it or something.
Extra space in it, and that gave the watch that little bit of uniqueness, if you like, and that the value of that.
Do you think that was deliberate by Rolex?
Who knows? Yeah. But it's very unusual for Rolex to make mistakes. Very unusual.
When they're putting out.
Yeah.
So, I guess the secondary watch market, like every industry, you get the high-end side of it, and you get the more dodgy side of it, isn't it? It's like every industry, you have your good people and the bad folk within it. So, what do people need to watch out for when buying watches off the secondary market? Okay,
that's a good question. So I think one thing for me is reputation. Now, how do you get reputation? Reputation's obviously common, that, you know, how long you've been in the watch game for. So the guys that's been in the industry for, 15, 20, 25 years. I think guys like me, who are small businesses, I think one of the things to check us out in Companies House. That's it. We're company registered, we're VAT registered, we're tax registered. Reviews are always good online, but reviews can be done by your mates at the end of the day.
They can.
And also, just in terms of the network that jeweler has is also really important. You'll get a feel, as a client coming in to buy a watch, you'll get a feel of who you're dealing with. People are not stupid. So I think all these things, if you've got an office as well, helps. And people will get a feel of what kind of person you are. But all these little things, just do your homework. If you've come through a referral, that's always a good one to go through. If somebody's new to me and they say, well, we don't really know you, how do I not? I've had this before. How do I know you're not selling fake watches? Well, we can offer an authentication service. I'll take you to the watchmaker, see the watch yourself. We can produce all of that.
So what is an authentication service?
Authentication service is that you want to have that watch taken to a bona fide, qualified horologist who's a watchmaker, and they will open the back of the watch up. I mean, I've had it so many times where people think they're selling a real watch, take it to the watchmaker. You can just tell by the kind of picking it up, feeling it, but some copies are that good. They're very, very difficult to pick up on. So the watchmaker will take the back of the watch off, look at the parts, the mechanisms. Some of them could be real, some of them could be fake. That's how you tell the true quality of whether that watch is fake or not.
So have you had that, people coming to you trying to genuinely sell a watch that they thought was real?
Yeah.
And you have to tell them the news actually...
There's one actually case that always sticks out in my head, was an AP. The guy was adamant that it was...
So for an AP, what kind of price brand are we talking about?
Well, that particular one was around £20,000.
Right, so a chunk of change.
Yeah, It wasn't a cheap watch.
Yeah.
And he thought it was real. It looked okay, I'll be honest with you. Took it to the watchmaker, and when he opened it up, the back of the watch, the top layer, was actually authentic. So it used bona fide parts, which is probably taken from another watch. When they went a bit under further investigation, it was fake. The parts were fake, and unfortunately, it was a fake watch. But the guy just couldn't believe it.
So what does that do for his 20 grand value watch? What is that worth? Hundreds of pounds then?
That's worth nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So basically, he then had to go back to whoever he bought that watch from and have that discussion to say this watch is not real. But he should have done his homework at that time. And this kind of leads on to why you should buy watches off of guys like me, because you won't have that issue. You know, people are buying watches off of guys they don't know, through a friend. How do you know the watch is real? They don't. People think it's real, but it's not. And Rolexes are very, very, easy to copy.
Yeah. And I guess some of the copies going about there, they're almost identical, aren't they?
Well, they're what they call AAA, isn't it? AAA clones. If you go to Turkey quite a lot, I'm sure you see all these copies that are there. It's amazing. Yeah. And especially if you see being in Dubai, a lot of these copies are coming also from China, Hong Kong, and you have to really know your stuff and get the watch opened up to make sure that it's real.
Yeah. No, that's... And if one of the things that you were saying to me when we were helping you with the marketing piece as well, a big problem in your industry is people buying watches from you, potentially trying to buy a watch from you, then trying to get a refund, but they've stripped the inside of it out with the sort of taking the genuine parts out of it and try and give it back to you.
Well, it's not happened, but it could happen. It could happen. It wouldn't surprise me if it hasn't. It wouldn't surprise me if it hasn't happened, because I think what you are potentially sometimes dealing with a lot of unsavoury characters who people are desperate to make money. So that watch has to be authenticated, verified. We produce a certificate to say we've checked the watch. Now that person then comes back and says, the parts were in fake where they weren't. Yeah.
So I guess if you you had to give people advice about the common pitfalls, if we were going to lay it out when they're buying a luxury watch, what should they do and not do?
Well, number one, go to a trusted dealer. That is first of all. Don't buy off your mates, and do your homework on whoever you're buying from. Like the points that I've mentioned earlier on about being VAT registered, reputation, getting referrals, check your company's house. Google reviews are always good, but okay, somebody maybe perhaps like me who's been around for about 3.5 years, we have a lot, but not that many. So that. But I think generally just do your homework. Meet the person. I think that's really important. You'll get a feel for what they're like, where they're based. And, if it means speaking to other dealers about that person, go ahead and do it. Because if you've got nothing to hide, then it's always going to be a good deal.
And how would you, I guess from your side, how do you spot a watch, or how can you figure out if a watch has been stolen? So it's a legit watch, it's 100% real, but for whatever reason it's been stolen and been sold on. Is there a way of...
Yeah, easy. It's an easy question. There's in the UK, there's a database called the Watch Register. Anyone can go on it. Dealers can go onto there. So that's a check that we do as a standard process.
So if somebody gets a watch nicked, they would log it onto that website?
Yeah. So they wouldn't log on. So if I was to get a watch stolen from me, I go to the Watch Register. That's linked in with the police database as well, I believe. And... The watch is, if it shows up there as stolen, then whoever has stolen that watch will find it extremely difficult to get rid of that watch in the UK.
Yeah, they're only going to sell it to other unsavoury people, aren't they?
Pretty much. So it will show up, and if I was to do a search and a watch shows up as stolen, the Watch Register will instantly notify the police, and then police get involved.
So they would contact you saying, why are you...
Who did you buy it from? Why is this, where did this watch come from, and all the rest of it. So, and it happens a lot. I mean, unfortunately, there was a situation recently in London, that young lad, Ollie, who he was, I think he was robbed. This was his second robbery that he had. Unfortunately, he took his own life. It was really sad. But these guys that had gone in and stolen millions of pounds worth of watches off him. Now, if they think they're going to resell those watches again, very difficult.
Yeah, maybe the £1 million worth of value is down to tens of thousands of pounds or something.
No trusted dealer will touch those watches. So they're going to probably go into some market that they'll get rid of them.
A foreign market.
Yeah, but all those watches that we don't, the back to your point was that they will all show up in the watch register. Stolen.
As stolen.
Yeah.
That was terrible what happened to that boy, wasn't it?
Awful. And really, the guy's just doing his job. He's a great kid, I knew him, and lovely guy. It just unfortunately a horrible situation. And I don't, this is the thing about the watch industry. All our watch dealers, we're just out to run a business, make some money, make a livelihood, and there's a lot of people out there who want to spoil that. And
it's the same as any industry, isn't it?
Yeah. They don't want to work, so what do? They steal.
Yeah.
So it's really bad, but it's funny. It seems to happen in Europe and these countries more. Dubai, okay, probably does go on, but not to the level that it's here. And in Dubai, you wouldn't dream of doing it because you'll get caught.
And the punishment's a lot severer.
Well, you don't want to be in a Dubai prison.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, something needs to be done here. I mean, Paul Thorpe, who I don't know if you've seen, he's obviously on Instagram, etc., is a big advocate for, kind of safety for watch dealers. And you go to London, you can't even wear, you couldn't even wear £1,000 watch in London for risk of being stolen. So it's wrong. We should be, if people are buying a luxury watch, you should be able to enjoy wearing that luxury watch. And there's too many people in the UK have bought luxury watches and they can't wear them.
And I take it as a watch dealer, that's something that you need to think about a lot in terms of the safety.
1,000,000%.
And taking extra precautions to make sure you're not an easy target.
No, 100%. So you need to be careful who you're dealing with. Do your background. IDs are always taken. And I've been around long enough. You get a feel for what that kind of, who you're dealing with. And hence the reason we've got a secure office, as most dealers will have.
Yeah.
And you just need to be very, very careful.
Yeah, you don't want to be meeting somebody in a Tesco car park.
We've done. Listen, everyone's done that. When you start off and you're meeting people in car parks, if you think back on it,
you think, bloody hell, we shouldn't have done that.
But everyone's done it. You start off, you don't have premises, a bit naive. You just want to make money, do the deal, and it's dangerous.
Have you ever been in the situation you thought, I don't want to be here?
Thank God, no. But I know guys that have, when they've had machetes pulled out of them and stuff. I was down south. Yeah. Friends of mine.
You're like, take the watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I'm no hero.
I take it. So yeah, you have to be careful. I think it's worse the further south you go.
And you hear about footballers particularly being targeted.
Yeah.
I think one of the England squad, they were in Cannes and they got pepper sprayed and their watch taken off their wrist.
I didn't see that. Okay.
That was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So we've not going to mention names, but we do have a few footballers on our books, and it's happened to them, which is so wrong, because these guys are working. They've bought investment pieces, they want to enjoy them, and they're being targeted just because they've got money.
And they're
public figures. It's ridiculous, but they're sick of it, and they're trying to get rid of their watch collections because of this whole kind of.
Really, are they actually saying enough?
Well, some of them have said, we want to get rid of our watch. We've had enough. We don't want to have as big a collections, and we want rid of them. So, yeah, you just need to be careful who you're dealing with.
So, how do people? How can people pay for watches? I always have an image of somebody turning up with a carrier bag of fivers.
Right.
And is it mainly cash or is it bank transfers, crypto? What?
Well, I'll be coy with the answer. I can only talk from experience. So
we can clip this bit out, by the way.
So bank transfer is always the preferred method. Legally you are allowed to take X amount of cash anyway.
It's under 10 grand or something.
I think it's like 10,000 euros,
right.
£8,500. So that's legal. I think some dealers, I'm not sure if some dealers have a license to take higher amount of cash. So that's up to them, whatever they do with that. Personally, I can only speak for me. So we're legit. We like to do through the banks. We're at the stage now where we're over three years running, so we'll be able to offer finance. It's something we're going to look into. So finance is another preferred method of payment, and crypto is another way. So I'm an old guy. I've not really got my head around the crypto thing yet, but I've got partners who will take crypto, especially in Dubai at the moment. Crypto is really popular, and there's actually crypto exchanges out there where you can go and take your money, change it for crypto.
Yeah,
So
they've got like cash machines almost, don't they, for crypto?
Yeah. The thing actually, for the first time, I kind of saw live a crypto deal going on a couple of weeks ago, and it was amazing at how easy it is.
Yeah.
How simple it is.
It's a big long code for a wallet, isn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
And the guy had his laptop open. He sold. We were paying in crypto, and he said, "That's it." Walked away. Done. So yeah, it was very easy. And I think guys I have a number of clients who are that's all they do for a living. They are crypto. You know, that's how they make their living. And when the crypto market, going on to the watch market, when the crypto market was doing really, really well a few years ago, still is now, that's when a lot of the watch market was booming as well. Because a lot of these guys have disposable income. A lot of disposable income. So, but crypto is another preferred method of payment.
That's probably only get more popular, especially across borders and when people are buying stuff internationally.
100%. And yeah, internationally, it works really, really well. It's easy. And yeah, I think going forward, it's something that's going to, I mean, I think certainly with big countries, like, I think, was it not China that made crypto legal? I think they've made certain things legal around crypto, and that's going to only be good for the future.
No, absolutely. So you said that you found a watch in the Far East somewhere for that client. How easy is it to move watches internationally?
I think it's reasonably easy.
Yeah,
you can do it. There's courier services that you can use, so it's done quite easily. Again, I'll be coy with the answer. So yeah, I think, but if you know, there is companies out there who will legally move watches for you.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, that's the kind of simple answer.
Because a high valued watch, I take it you're not using DPD.
No. So that's the other thing. You go back to your question around security. Even posting a watch, I mean, we're fully insured, but even that is not.
You don't like to post a watch, do you?
No, we post watches all the time.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what you've got is the insurance company that I deal with. My advisor was telling me the other day that you'll be amazed at the number of watches that go missing in the post. I mean, not just with Royal Mail, but with DHL, some of the other carriers as well. It's shocking. So even that's not safe. But if you're fully insured, then it's not a problem.
That's someone else's problem.
Yeah.
So in your short term, in your 3 or 4 years that you've been doing this, you've done incredibly well. So you're now you're selling watches predominantly in the UK, so across Glasgow, Liverpool, London. You've got a presence, and you've now got a presence out in Dubai.
Yeah.
Which is going well. So how does the UK market different from Dubai, or is it exactly the same?
I think it's. It's just, I think the Dubai market is a bit more, I would not say buoyant, but just the sheer volume of people that
with
come
money.
out, with money that come out to Dubai. And not just Dubai, you've got to remember where Dubai is situated. It's very easily accessible from many other wealthy countries around there, like the Middle East, even Hong Kong, China, a lot of Chinese in Dubai. I think the type of clientele that you've got in Dubai, everyone in Dubai is there to work. They're there to make money. There's a lot of successful people there. There's no social security system. So you'll find the type of clientele there has got a lot more disposable income and a lot more liquid income, if you like. So it's just a bigger market and accessible to other countries. And it's a lot, I wouldn't say it's competitive in the UK, but there, in terms of margins that maybe dealers are working for, are slightly less, but the volume they do is off the scale.
Right, okay. I love Dubai. Absolutely love it. What's the reality of, you spend a lot of time out there.
Yeah.
What's the reality?
There.
What's the reality of living in Dubai? Is it as shiny and as glamorous as it seems when you're visiting for a couple of weeks?
No. It's like anywhere on holiday, it's all different, isn't it? But living in Dubai, it's like anywhere in the world, if you want to make it expensive, you can make it as expensive. Or you want to eat out every night, expensive restaurants, you can do that. I witness it every day. There's a really poor side to Dubai, and during Ramadan we helped a food bank to hand out food. You've got workers that are on peanuts there, thousands of workers that probably you know, I don't know if they're treated well or not, but they're still in better conditions to what they were in their homeland. Put it that way, because they're making money and they're sending it home. But Dubai is not all glitz and glamour as you think it is. There's a real poor side to Dubai, and the glitz and glamour side as a percentage is very small. But those people do have a lot of money. Also, I think the way that the government now there is in terms of what they're funding with the Emiratis were, when you're born an Emirati, you were given X amount of money every year, businesses to run, etc. I think even that's now kind of stopping to a certain extent. So they don't have as much money as they used to, but you got a lot of Russians there, Ukrainians, Chinese, they've all got money. So it's a
cultural melting pot, isn't it?
It's an incredible, especially like somebody coming from Glasgow. You know, you've got people from all around the world there with cash. I think sometimes you kind of think it's a bit the watch game on steroids. Yeah. But Hong Kong's even worse. You know, that's the biggest, the most buoyant market. So I think people, to answer your question, Dubai is not all glitz and glamour. And living there on a daily basis, it's not as expensive as people make it out to be. The biggest things with Dubai is the rent. The rents are off the scale at the moment because it's a very, actually, you know, I was thinking coming in here today about the economy in the UK and in Europe, etc. We're talking about being are we in a recession? I don't know.
I think we're bouncing off the bottom of it if we're not.
Yeah. The cost of living crisis. You go to Dubai, you don't see any cost of living crisis. The economy is booming off the scale. You kind of wonder, why is that?
Yeah.
So, and I think the way they've set it up, but hence the reason why I think the watch market there it's a very good market to be in. Yeah.
How do you find in the summer with the heat?
I'll tell you in 2 months' time.
Yeah.
I've not experienced it yet.
Have you not?
No. So, I came back on Tuesday. It's 42 degrees. I know you'll love that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And even at night,
it's a bit hot. That it's
not. It's doable. It's lovely at night though, because at night time it's just really warm, a bit humid. But I think the humidity kicks in over the next few months. So I'll tell you how that goes.
Yeah, I've only seen the humidity once over there. You could actually see it coming in.
Right. Okay.
The next minute you're soaking. You're absolutely drenched. Okay. And you can't get away from it.
I'm not looking forward to that. But unfortunately, we're in the process of opening a boutique there with a few other traders, which will be housed in Golden Diamond Park. So that's due to open shortly. So hence the reason why I need to be there. Yeah. All that. So boutique, all watches on display, kind of thing. Everything. Yeah. So we'll have access to any watch that you want. If we don't have it, we can have it there within half an hour. Yeah. As that's the beauty of Dubai and the contacts we've got there.
Really?
Yeah. Also, we will not just be doing watches. We'll do luxury handbags, Hermes, Louis Vuitton, and just
all authentic,
everything authentic. Yeah, we don't, not worth a reputation. So we'll see how it goes, and I think there's a big market for it out there.
Absolutely. So, if you had to buy one watch as an investment only, forget about your personal preferences and what you like and what you don't like. If you had to buy one watch today for investment, where would you put your money?
As a brand, a brand that I really like. I mean, I couldn't give you the model number, but the watches are just amazing. Is Jacob & Co. So you'll see Ronaldo wearing those, and the craftsmanship and the uniqueness and the quality and just.
What price band are we talking for a?
Well, I think they're like over like $1 million and above.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, so you went big there, so you...
Yeah. Well, that would be kind of, very, very high end. I think if you're wanting an investment piece, for me personally, a Rolex Daytona is the watch that you really want to get your money on, because Daytona is a huge legacy behind that watch. They don't, relatively speaking, they don't probably make as many as they do in terms of the other models, and the Daytona's price doesn't really fluctuate as much. Yes, it comes up and goes down, but it's still what I would deem as a safe investment.
And if you had to pick one watch just for your own personal collection that you like yourself, what would it be?
I've got it. I've got the Rolex Panda on just now, so I don't know if the camera can see that. So this is called the Panda Rolex Daytona stainless steel white dial. So this was always a dream watch for
And
me.
that was that.
We've got it. And
So they call it a panda because it's black and white.
yeah, black and white. Yeah, It's intuitive, Danny.
Nothing gets past me. So, and how long have you had that?
A couple of years.
Couple of years.
Yeah.
And
I'll
that's the watch you'll always
wear. Oh yeah, it's just my favourite watch. It's Queen, and but I'd love a, Rolex put the Platinum Daytona as a nice watch as well. I just like Daytonas, the nice watches, but that might not be for everyone.
Yeah, is that a Daytona Panda? Is that what that is?
Yeah,
No?
it's the nickname is Panda.
Yeah. But it's a Daytona.
It's a Daytona, Rolex
Right.
Daytona. Yeah.
And see when you have Sprites and Pepsis, are they all Daytonas as well? Or no.
So
Right.
a Sprite, for example, is a GMT2 Master. The Pepsi is the same range. If you look at Submariners, for example, so a Sub, you've got a Bluesy, you've got the Hulk. These are all Submariners. So these watches have all kind of inherited nicknames.
Right, okay.
And they are different ranges.
Excellent, superb. Well, Sohail, thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.